All right. So I know none of you will be able to relate, but I've had some jobs that I've fucking hated. I've worn bow ties and tuxedo shirts to deal blackjack and poker at corporate events and private New Year's Eve parties in the woodlands, secretly hating everyone around me for being rich, white, oblivious, while I was stood there doling out cards and feeling like a circus monkey without cymbals or hurdy-gurdy to grind. Clapping my hands together and laughing at bad jokes like an idiot, fearing the hose if I didn't comply. I've held my tongue at Freebirds for fear of being way more Texas and badass than any of the middle-aged Aggie wannabes could handle without a vein popping out of their forehead and letting loose their best R. Lee Ermey impersonations. Let's just say I had views about aborted babies getting gay married that would make people who still thought it was okay to use the term mulatto in casual conversation faint or attempt to exorcise my demons. Smoking weed in the freezer while working in Jamba Juice wasn't so bad. But that's when I was young and I just moved to Austin a year or two before I broke my own dreams with the bottle. The experiences documented from here on came from what is inarguably the weirdest job I've ever had. I'd just been fired from Freebirds. I don't exactly remember why, but it probably had something to do with me getting dangerously close to staging a corporate revolt and truly setting the birds free of their cages to shit on the faces of capitalism, or some other profound early 20-something philosophy to disguise my entitlement and terrible work ethic. I left a free man, but realized if the world were truly to be my oyster, I'd have to start shucking to afford 40s of Cobra and Bud. My friend Nemo told me of a job that hired him after asking two intense questions. Can you speak English? And do you have a driver's license? This had to be some kind of amazing gig, driving limos for high-end escorts and teaching them English while also teaching them how to let go of their past and learn to live and love again after a childhood fraught with vodka and depression in Romania or some shit, right? It was pretty close, actually. It was a catering job to deliver food to charter schools in Houston, which is just as cool as the charade I just described before, and honestly, it never made me question what I was doing with my life. I rolled up to the location ready for the interview. It was in a strip center that also housed a bridal salon and an adult novelty salon. From what I can gather, their scheme was to knock out the dresses, the bachelorette party, and catering all in one go. The interview was brief, and I was asked the same two questions my friend was. Those gaping mouth idiots forgot to ask the big questions, though, like, are you gonna show up to work 15 minutes late every day, hungover, reeking of cigarette smoke, contemplating driving into every 18-wheeler you see between your house and this space that God forgot on purpose? I arrived on my first day, ready for the beginning of the rest of my life, rocking a hairnet. Beards were discouraged because they feared beasts and the diseases they may carry, and bedazzling was in no way allowed on any part of the uniform. Looking around the room, I saw many interesting people I may be paired up to work with. I already started playing that game where you choose who your favorites are going to be based on how attractive they are. My mind was racing with the possibilities of the memories that would surely follow. Instead, I was paired with the bulldog. Brutish and bold, the bulldog lashed out at all forms of intellect. She barked orders and always kept her face in a position to show off her jowls in a play to establish dominance. She would complain endlessly whenever I listened to NPR on the drive to school. On the drive to the school we were assigned, because I didn't want to listen to that one Pitbull song where he does that thing he's known for, you know, turning diarrhea into words and trumpets. I remember one incident where her husband helped me load the van in the morning. I mentioned something about not knowing where she was. Apparently it's a mistake not to know where the bulldog is, because the bulldog is ever present, should be regarded as with some kind of Voldemort level of fear and respect. We got into an argument because the husband told her I said she was lazy. Her husband seemed to me a chihuahua, afraid of his own shadow and putting up with the bulldog shit because eating your own shit has to be better than eating hers. I imagine them at home, the chihuahua afraid to touch the remote control for fear of the bulldog becoming jealous of the wizard pictures in the science box and deeming her own attempts at entertainment far more conducive to a happy, submissive marriage. brandishing French ticklers and chains, climbing on top with a mouthful of flaming hot Cheetos, raining down abuses and fiery crumbs that would make a porno nun blush. The Chihuahua doesn't know which hole in his heart he forgot to fill to avoid this, but he knows which hole he has to fill now, and which hole the Bulldog has him pegged for. Over the course of a month, I had shrunk the Bulldog with my deafening silence, and she grew fearful of me, never knowing if she truly had the power to overtake me. She had come to identify me as the master who comes home, not with a treat, but a plan. Luckily, there was an opening at another school, a route run by none other than the Bulldog's mother, the Troll. The Troll had a face that Bukowski would see as a mirror. Imagine a peach with its fuzz standing up proud, welcoming, and soft to the touch. Now imagine you left that peach out in the sun to ferment like some kind of failed pruno attempt, and the texture and smell will pop right to the forefront of your noggin and nostrils. To be fair, the Troll was a lot of fun. On the way to the school we worked, she'd often ask me to stop by the gas stations so she could pick up tiny bottles of shit wine for herself and tall boys of Heineken for me. We'd roll around the nearby neighborhoods, pounding beers and smoking cigarettes before feeding children a meal fit for the toxic Avenger. I shit you not. When there were leftovers from the Sloppy Joe day, they would make us save the leftover meat. The next day, they would add it to runny, snotty cheese to produce a chunky brown nacho feast for those forsaken children. She had a boyfriend named Kenny, which she pronounced much the same way Cartman does. Kenny? Kenny's a fucking asshole. Kenny drinks too much. He's probably on the couch being worthless. Kenny's a fucking asshole. I wrote that twice because that was definitely her favorite phrase. It's implanted in my brain much the same way witnessing a death is. I started to get suspicious when slowly her drunken ramblings started evolving. First, she would complain about Kenny. Then in a week or two, she would complain about Kenny and tell me how handsome I was. Another week or two, she would tack on an invitation to come over and drink beers with her. Come hang out, she'd say. We can drink beer and play cards, she'd say. I like you too much to wear your skin, she'd say. It appeared to me I was living too much life for one man. I'm into a lot of sword and sorcery fantasy type shit, so I'm not above laying a troll out when I need to. But that doesn't mean I want to crawl on top of one and breathe new life. 'Tis not the form of stabbing I reserve for trolls, especially when I'm already privy to the foul ploppings she's subjected this plane of existence to. Ultimately, the Troll was pretty fun to hang out with. The job was terrible, but drinking and driving added a little excitement. Sometimes I still wonder if Kenny is still laying on the couch being a fucking asshole. I never got to find out. Because when the school year let out and they asked if I wanted to work with them over the summer, I said, fuck no.